Obviously, when you evolve inside an animal body, localized in space and time, you get a hellacious set of reflexes and muscles designed to deal with immediate threat in the environment. But at the core of the oyster is, this portal into universalism, which we have denigrated to what we call the imagination. There is a third eye. The third eye exists, but it doesn't look out at this world. You've got two perfectly good eyes for doing that. The third eye looks out at the holographic matrix of informational totality.
The problem of self-consciousness. The fact that not only are we mortal and that we die, but that we know it. And that's the unique predicament of human beings.
With singing and chanting and sound, it was lifted out of their plane. In other words, they actually had a breakthrough in the imagination. And they said, how would it be if? It's an amazing word, the power of if.
They present the emergence of self-consciousness in human beings as a cosmically cataclysmic event. And you could say, well, what do we have to do with the cosmos? And the answer to that is it depends on what you think consciousness has to do with the cosmos. And perhaps that's nothing, and perhaps it's everything.
Ethnobotanist and philosopher Terence McKenna often spoke of a universal force that he referred to as the attractor. It's the idea that we're being pulled compulsively to a point in the future. It may just be a concept, but it has great utility when placed within the context of evolution. Against all odds, we move forward, imperfectly but absolutely, without a singular goal in mind. It is what we do, and it is what we must do. But the question of why remains. It seems as though we are being propelled, or rather beckoned, down a path that is most certainly not the one of least resistance. With obstacles ever present and numerous, the forward progression would cease in the absence of some driving force. But time and time again, those obstacles were overcome, not by chance, but by the compulsory obligation of evolution. The first breath of our universe was a gasp, a roar, a crying out, an event whose chances of occurring were impossibly slim. Yet it happened. It had to happen. Call it destiny, call it fate, or call it the first explosive, haphazard efforts by the forces of evolution to do what it does best: develop structure, form, and function from an otherwise hopeless landscape, and to propel life, using itself as a catalyst. For eons, these forces acted at an unobservably slow pace, but on a cosmic as well as a microscopic scale, aligning the pieces, combining the chemicals, adding and subtracting in proper places and amounts, with catastrophe being the result if one fragment falls out of place. And out of this cosmic dance was extracted the necessary ingredients for life. In stark contrast to the otherwise dead matter surrounding it, life is the living, breathing culmination of untold ages of effort. The arrival of consciousness on the planet, the first, best incarnation of evolution's motivations and direction. Primitive consciousness it may have been, but evolution did not stop there.
We became the top carnivore on the planet, but who would have placed their bet on a monkey to be the top carnivore? We did this by imitating those carnivores, and imitation is an act of the imagination.
With the odds once again in favor of the opposition, highly vulnerable, soft-bodied primates gradually climbed to the top of the carnivore hierarchy, and with them, they brought an expanded consciousness, allowing them to develop new ways to communicate, understand, and to overcome the overwhelming. Our exceptional capacity for communication and our ability to outthink our adversaries elevated us above species that were faster, stronger, and otherwise physically superior to our own. Even more astonishing, we managed to transcend that hierarchy and to create an environment specifically designed for and by us, But at what point did human consciousness emerge and distinguish itself from animal consciousness? When did we separate ourselves from the reality that shaped who we were for millennia to craft our own reality, idealized for mankind?
We co-evolved with snakes and we learned how to see them. The price we paid for seeing was that our brain grew, because you need a lot of brain to be able to see. And the consequence of our brain growing is one day we woke up and discovered the future. Human beings discovered time, and when we discovered time, we discovered the end of each of our being.
To discover the future means to conceive possibility and to perceive potential, to envision what could be and to prepare for it, not just instinctually, such as a squirrel gathering food for winter, but a way in which numerous possibilities can be visualized and explored based on particular circumstances and a defined goal. We understand the future in a way that no other creature does. We have assimilated that which is yet to exist into our daily lives, and we consider it as often, if not more, than we consider the present. This discovery of potential, of the future, was only made possible by an element of consciousness that I believe to be evolution's most important tool thus far: the human imagination. Prior to the emergence of the imagination, evolution was a passive process. It crawled forward, seemingly unconsciously, stabbing in the dark to find the next effective mutation or development to support survival, taking millions of years to do so. The imagination, however, is active, participatory evolution. It provides a realm in which the next step can be conceptualized and contemplated, and therefore applied directly to the world, causing growth and development at a staggering pace. It is wholly unique to our species and has affected our reality in vast, unthinkable ways. All of our advancements, inventions, and ideas, even down to culture itself, are the product of the imagination. Imagination is most often associated with art and creativity, or a child's purity of vision or ability to think laterally. These are extremely useful elements and should not be downplayed. But we don't often think of the imagination as the very force used to craft our political systems, our method of interacting with one another, language, and our framework for society as a whole. All of these began with a conceptualization of the future, an envisioning and solidifying of potential into a concrete and attainable goal. And maybe potential is the most accurate abstraction to use. It is immeasurable and indefinable, but universally understood and believed. If evolution contains infinite potential, the imagination represents the condensation of that potential and its ability to be focused and directed. Like liquid spreading out on concrete, at first it spreads haphazardly in all directions, perhaps following an unevenness here or there, but once it hits a crack or a groove, it takes shape and accelerates as a whole in that direction. While evolution and the imagination both possess seemingly arbitrary elements, they also both tend towards the common goal of forward progression. Never content with the current state of things, they put the earth in constant flux and improvement.
Because the human imagination is so endlessly self-transcending, whatever its most advanced creation of the moment is, it's in the process of obviating and denying it and seeking to go beyond it.
Evolution brought our species to its current position by continually upgrading our biology and endlessly enhancing our abilities and cognition. The imagination seems to have the same goal of self-transcendence, always attempting to increase our competence, to move beyond our limitations, and to create a more actualized reality to inhabit. But more than that, it tends towards an ideal reality, how we envision things could or should be. It isn't change for change's sake, but rather an attempt to make things better and to design a future that produces an optimal outcome, to use present reality as a springboard into a reality which does not yet exist, to make real that which is not real. The speed at which the imagination is able to conceptualize, produce, and improve puts the previous, clumsier utility of natural selection to shame. While we may like to think of ourselves as possessors of our own minds, in many ways, we are the ones who are possessed by imagination. It lies within us, drawing us in a specific direction, leading us towards a goal, often in a compulsory manner. Again, we are called back to the idea of the attractor, that which is seemingly pulling us towards a point in the future, as indicated by natural events and our behavior. We become possessed by ideas that demand realization, as if something is forcing its way out from within us, leaving us with little choice but to pursue, or rather heed to, the will of our imagination. It is the unrealized world attempting to reach realization by channeling itself through human beings. Earlier, I called the imagination a tool of evolution, but it seems to me that human beings are actually the tool through which evolution is acting in the form of the imagination. It is the very force of evolution itself, condensed, focused, and accelerated. The moment that imagination emerged was the moment that evolution itself evolved and took on new qualities and abilities. Human beings unexpectedly arose as the top predators on the planet and became the embodiment of the success of natural selection, wherein is contained the results of the culminated efforts that took millions of years of work. The divine spark that ignites transformation and resides within us all. We may step back and look upon what we've accomplished with awe or pride, but in the end, we never had a choice. And all that we see is simply the product of natural, evolutionary forces given utility through the medium of humanity. While the human race continually surprises itself with what it is able to manifest from the realm of the imagination, the limitations of the natural world place absolute boundaries upon that which is possible. We can only progress so far, given our limited resources, the constraints that physics and matter present, and the shortcomings of the human body and nature itself. But what if we could turn these absolute boundaries into mere obstacles? What if, on the path of improvement, we transcended, or at least redefine, that which is seen as natural? Previously insurmountable obstacles are now laughable, and the forward momentum of evolution will not allow anything to stop it. Everything evolution engineers is better than its previous product. It is only a matter of time before our imagination conceives of a better, unlimited world and a better, unlimited us.
And so we are on the brink of a time, we are at the time, where the human imagination now need meet no barriers to its intent. And so we are going to find out who we are.